We are back for another Christian review of regular books, and today we are discussing The House in the Pines. For those of you who have never seen one of these videos before, you can go to the playlist and go to the very top where you should see my Christian review of regular book Spark Notes version. It'll give you all the information you may need about these Christian reviews so that you can make the decision that's best for you. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and get into my regular review. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and the bell so that you can stay involved in all of my Christian reviews of regular books and any upcoming books that may be happening. I also wanna make sure that you are following me on Goodreads and on Instagram and on TikTok and my own YouTube channel, which will keep you involved in the more day-to-day working of my reading. Now let's go ahead and get into this regular review. The House in the Pines really came to me from Book Talk. It was something that was kind of floating around as something people were really interested in. It's also a Reese's book club pick, and I really felt like that seemed really interesting. As you can see, I also got it at Target, and this was at the beginning when I just kind of went to Target and was like, okay, here's some books, and it seemed interesting, so I picked it up. My interest in it slowly dwindled. I did really love the kind of like unreliable narrator. You couldn't decide if this person was good or bad, or if they were involved in it, or if they weren't. They were very unreliable due to things like drugs and alcohol abuse. And so although it had a very fascinating storyline and interest piece, I really struggled with the rest of the plot. I also feel like it doesn't really feel like a thriller. It felt more like a storyline of an unreliable narrator, more along the fiction aspect than the thriller aspect. However, I liked it more than I thought I would, and I enjoyed my experience with it for the most part. I really did want to know what was going on, and even though the ending was very obvious to me, I still had an enjoyable time learning how the unreliable narrator and the main character kind of worked their way through this process. I rated this book 3 stars. Now let's go ahead and get into my Christian review. The first category I always love to touch on is if there's spice or smut in there, and no, there's none in there. I feel like that book really started me on this concept that thrillers shouldn't really have that. However, I've learned since that that's not necessarily the deal. However, it was for this one. There wasn't spice or smut, so that was a win. The secondary category is explicit language, and again, a few words here and there, but nothing really to worry about. The last main category is violence and gore, and there is some, but again, not much. It's more suspenseful and more intense, kind of cat and mouse in certain parts and scary scenes, but nothing that I would say was super descriptive, so that was a win. The last part, which I mentioned in my regular review, but I just want to touch on again, is that the main character is an unreliable narrator due to alcohol and drugs. And throughout the course of this process is trying to get clean, and can't get clean, trying again, and can't get clean. So if drugs are a topic that you don't really want to be reading in your books, it's something good to know. I think this book is appropriate for ages 18 and up. Again, I think it deals with some heavy topics, and that's why I'd say that, and also plus the narrator's point of view, which is dealing with drugs and alcohol. I think this book could be a really interesting one for you to read. As always, you can find everything that I'm reading and rating in real time by following me on Goodreads. You can also find me on Instagram, on TikTok, and on my own YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out the Journey We Share podcast that me and my mom co-host, talking about relationship dynamics and the blended family.